ターセイバー発進。ブレインセット。セイバーブレードが悪を切る。
Greetings.
A second wind is defined as a renewed energy after a period of fatigue. While the G1 Transformers line was winding down and running on fumes in North America, back in the country of its origin, the Transformers were about to do the opposite of quietly fading away.
I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
While Hasbro in North America was trying to coax some new releases out of their shells in 1989, Takara of Japan went back to what brought them to the dance in the first place: robots that transformed into Earth vehicles, while bringing back two of the most popular gimmicks, at least according to the poll I put up on this channel: combiners and headmasters. Well, sort of headmasters, with a new twist.
It's nice to see that some things have actually improved over the years.
It's time for the victorious and brainy history of 1989 edition, the Japan releases.
Well, let's get started. I have a long journey ahead of me and limited time.
While there had been exclusives for each continent in the past, a majority of the releases had been available on both sides of the planet, albeit with different names. Even though the animated series had sputtered out 2 years prior in North America with the three-parter Rebirth,
Seems like an eternity.
Japan went all in with its own Headmasters series that lasted 35 episodes in 1987, and then another new series in 1988 with Multiforce. Once again in 1989, Transformers Animation in Japan returned with a new series, Transformers Victory, or Fight! Super Robot Lifeform Transformers Victory, as it was officially titled, which had its entire 38-run episode that year, starting in March and ending in December. Once again, like on Headmasters and Multiforce, the series was developed by writer Masumi Kaneda and illustrator Ban Magami, or as it's pronounced in North America, Ban Magami. Early concept art for the series shows designs based on Thunderwing, Crossblades, and Vroom as Decepticons, or Destrons, as well as the return of the 6 Headmaster Juniors from Multiforce. Unlike Kaneda's previous series though, he wasn't credited as head writer on Victory, which went to Hiroyuki Hoshiyama. Kaneda did write the Victory manga though. The major difference between Victory and the previous Japanese exclusive shows was that the main characters in this series weren't for sale in North America. This time the cast was made up almost entirely of Transformers that were only available in Japan. Like Headmasters and Multiforce, Victory isn't a reboot. It's a new story with new characters, but doesn't wipe out the canon of everything that came before it, which gave it the opportunity for a few familiar faces to show up, like Perceptor and Wheeljack, who, according to Japanese canon, survived Transformers the movie.
Diabolical!
So score another one for Japan. Taking place in the year 2025, the Decepticons, or Destrons as they were known in Japan, have been driven from Earth following the Multiforce War. Jinrai makes an appearance,
Not for much longer,
and passes the torch to the new Supreme Commander of the Autobots, or Cybertrons, as they are known in Japan, Starsaber, the new face of Transformers, who, like Jinrai, bears a striking resemblance to a previous face of the franchise, Optimus Prime, or Convoy in Japan. Victory may have been his first appearance, but he was no new kid on the block like Hot Rod.
I was born 2,437 years ago.
He's aided by the Brainmasters, basically headmasters that just supply the face instead of the whole head, and the Multiforce, a squad of 6 that can combine into the mighty Landcross. They do battle with the new Decepticons' Emperor of Destruction, Deathsaurus, and his breastforce. Named so due to the animal warriors they're partnered with that can transform into armor that can be stored on their breastplate, similar to how Soundwave and Blaster could eject tape minions from their chests. I guess that would make Soundwave and Blaster breastforce warriors. Deathsaurus and his Dino Force attack Earth, so Starsaber sets up shop on the 3rd planet from the sun. Just like in 1984, And we've once again got big evil robots battling big good robots for the freedom of Earth.
When the few who remain will battle to the last.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't subvert it. Breastforce eventually moves on to smaller pastures, much smaller, with the planet Micro, homeworld of the Micromasters, where they liberate their evil pal Guy Hawk, no relation to Metal Hawk.
You know, I know the scriptures say, judge not lest ye be judged, but you know, I'm just going to come out and say it. This guy's a real jerk.
Who combines with the rest of Breastforce to become Breastmaster. Just kidding. He's called Leo Kaiser, and hands Starsaber his first defeat in battle. God Jinrai arrives to turn the tide, and just like the previous big red truck, the cost is his life.
Wounded in battle.
Mortally so. He's remade into Victory Leo, and combines with Starsaber to form Victory Saber, and together they finally, definitively defeat Deathsaurus.
Cleanse the earth from evil and give it a fresh start.
The toy releases in Japan in 1989 were fewer in number than the North American releases, with many of the North American offerings not being available in Japan that year.
When only a few of us are left, we will feel an irresistible pull towards a faraway land.
The big gimmick in Japan for 1989 wasn't Pretenders or Micromasters. It was a return to a previous popular gimmick, with a new twist. Brainmasters.
It's like a whirlwind in my head.
In 1987, Transformers were paired with Headmasters, small nebulans, or robots depending on what side of the world you lived on, that could transform into the heads and plug into the robot's body, revealing tech spec meters built into their chests. Like the Japanese Headmasters, the Brainmasters are small robots instead of organic.
And what do you do with it?
Like Headmasters, they can ride the Transformer in vehicle mode in the cockpit. In robot mode, the Brainmaster is placed into the chest. Closing the chest plate pushed up part of the Brainmaster which forms the Transformer's face.
They pass right through me.
They're Face Masters, really, but it's a different language, and things are always lost in translation.
You must learn to conceal your special gift and harness your power.
The biggest problem with the Brainmaster gimmick, like Headmasters before them, was if you lost the Brainmaster figure, your Transformer wouldn't only be missing a weapon, but a vital body part.
If your head comes away from your neck, it's over. Don't lose your head.
To conceal the Brainmasters, the chest cavities had to be big enough to hold the figure, so the transformations of the larger robots are very simple. A throwback to the original Autobots of 1984, they have die-cast parts, chromed plastic, and rubber tires.
The Transformers will return after these messages. We now return to the Transformers.
The Brainmasters were led by the new face of the franchise, or is that brain of the franchise, Starsaber.
Good. That is a perfect way to start.
Like Optimus Prime before him, he was powerful, wise, and philosophical.
Why does the sun come up? Or are the stars just pinholes in the curtain of night? Who knows?
He transformed into a red jet known simply as Saber, and included the Brain of Courage. Like Ultra Magnus and Power Master Optimus Prime before him, he could combine with his armor, the V-Star ship. Together they form one big starship in vehicle mode, or a giant robot, known as Starsaber in combined mode.
You have power beyond imagination.
The V-Starship could also transform into a firebase. He was equipped with the Saber laser and the glorious chromed Starblade, allowing him to lead the Autobots
With heart, faith, steel.
one of the most sought-after 80s Transformers that has never made it to North American stores, and has never received a straight-up reissue, even in Japan.
It is the only one of its kind.
I think many Transformers fans would agree, it's long past due. Modern-day articulation is great, the Masterpiece version is nice, and a missing Link release would be cool, but the charm of the originals remains undefeated and undisputed for Gen Xers who experience the simpler times firsthand.
Sometimes, McLeod, the sharpest blade is not enough.
Which is why Starsaber commanded a trio of Brainmasters in Japan. A throwback to Diaclone and the first 2 years of Transformers Autobots, they all transformed into Earth cars. Blacker transformed into a, yep, you guessed it, a Baja Buggy.
Yeah, I'm in the Baja.
This alt form was sadly completely skipped over in the North American line in 1989.
Well, why don't you tell me why?
But the Japanese people have always known how to do Transformers right.
I'll give credit where credit is due.
For those unfamiliar with Victory, Blacker is a lot like Ironhide, but without the orneriness and itchy trigger finger. He's second in command of the Autobots on Earth behind Starsaber.
They all answer to me. They all understand that I'm the head honcho, their main hermano.
A war hero with a legendary reputation.
I'm a Navy SEAL. I wrestled Bob Backlund for 45 minutes in the Philadelphia Spectrum.
Tries to set a good example, but doesn't have the most delicate way of explaining things to those who lack his battle-earned scorch marks.
You little pansy, you.
TF Wiki describes him as, couldn't care less what others think of him, and he doesn't let their opinions impede him in his duties. He's simply been around too long and done too much.
And you've never stepped in the arena of battle, armed only with a polar bear femur.
To be concerned with the feedback of others who haven't lived a minute fraction of his life.
I've been here for thousands of years. I've been a governor, a vampire, a piss truther, a wrestler. I'm eternal. I cross dimensions.
He's partnered with the Brain of Strength, which, like the other Brainmasters, is made to look like a miniature version of their partner. Laster was another throwback to the glory days of Transformers, specifically 1984.
Showtime.
He transformed into a Lamborghini Countach, a yellow one at that. You can bet Sunstreaker wasn't pleased to hear that. Or maybe this is Sunstreaker.
You don't want to know.
Most likely not. Their personalities are polar opposites. Laster's personality most closely resembles another blonde, Lowlight from G.I. Joe. He's so cool, he's chilly.
Cool it, or I'll show you a real nightmare.
How does someone so antisocial deal with being part of a team like the Brainmasters?
You make do. You have no choice.
Quiet and watchful, always keeping an eye on what's going on. He's partnered with the Brain of Skill. And rounding out the trio of Brainmaster cars was Braver,
What kept you?
who transformed into a Ferrari F40. He's the brains of the Brainmasters, the happy mad scientist, a throwback to Wheeljack.
Hey, it's a kind of magic.
But he's not just brains, he's brawn too.
Not if I can help it.
Every bit as skilled a warrior as the other Brainmasters. He's partnered with the Brain of Intelligence.
I know what people are thinking all over the world. I can help them understand each other.
Headmasters weren't the only beloved gimmick this trio homaged, though. They also employed the other beloved gimmick. The most beloved gimmick, if you ask the people who voted on this channel's poll. The three Brainmaster cars were a combiner, merging to form a Transformer with one of my favorite Japanese exclusive names of them all, Road Caesar.
Arise! Spears shall be shaken! Shields shall be splintered! A sword day! A red day! Right now! Right for ruin! And the world can
Who looks a little funky thanks to only being made up of 3 robots instead of 5 or 6 like typical combiner giants. Laster and Braver form the legs, and Blacker forms the thighs, arms, body, and head.
Now, pendejo, shall we see what sort of swordsman you've become?
Their 3 individual swords combine into the mighty Road Sword.
Use it well, my friend.
I love Japan. Unlike a lot of other combiner giants, Road Caesar is no dummy. He's a perfect blend of his 3 components: the strength of Blacker, the skill of Laster, and the intelligence of Braver.
Perfect warrior.
So he's like Computron, but less in his own head, and more of a sword-swinging warrior.
Hope and fear no darkness!
He was available in a 3-pack gift set in addition to the individually released Brainmasters.
The Transformers will return after these messages. We now return to the Transformers.
Multiforce was a group of 3 Autobots. No, 6?
Not necessarily.
Maybe 7, depending on your point of view. They were sold in 3 2-packs, and each 2-pack had individual robots that could transform into alt modes and combine with each other to form a larger robot. The team consisted of Wing, who transformed into a jet, who was partnered with Waver, who transformed into a hydrofoil. They could combine into Wing Waver with a new head revealed when combined. Or you could flip who forms the upper body and who forms the lower to form Waver Wing, who also had a new head revealed for this form. Dash transformed into a red sports car and was partnered with Tacker, a half-track. They combined to form Dash Tacker, or Tacker Dash. And the final set of Multiforce duos was made up of Mach, a space shuttle, and Tackle, a pickup truck. They formed Mach Tackle, or, you guessed it, Tackle Mach. All three, or 6, of them combined to form Landcross.
The more you hang around, the more you're going to find out.
Who was available as a gift set in addition to the Multiforce 2-packs. Galaxy Shuttle is reminiscent of the 1985 deluxe Autobots that were designed by Takatoku Toys. He transformed into a space shuttle that was compatible with the US Micromaster rocket base's launch pad. You could fit a Micromaster in his cockpit and cargo bay in shuttle mode too. Like Omega Supreme and Skylynx, he's the method of interstellar travel for the Cybertrons.
Stop your grinning and drop your linen. We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
It wasn't all brand new releases in Japan in 1989. There were a few repaints too, but Great Shot was more than just a lazy recolor of 1987's Decepticon 6-Shot.
We got a big battle in front of us, baby.
He featured a new chest plate, shoulders, and heads for his robot and animal modes. His 6 modes were a robot,
He has a tire power. He is too sweet to be sour.
a tank,
Master of disaster.
a spaceship,
Don't fail me now. Lord, don't fail me now.
a gun,
It will be your downfall.
an off-road vehicle,
You're equal in power and speed.
and a winged rhinoceros.
Bull of the woods, if you will.
He used to be friends with a pair of Destron baddies,
No respect, no honor. There is no honor among thieves in the first place.
and took it as a matter of honor to track down his corrupted former pals and put an end to their reign of terror, becoming a member of the heroic Autobots in the process.
Man, that was awful good, but it wasn't long enough. You know what I'm talking about, Ric Flair.
And the final Autobot released in Japan for 1989 was another familiar face, until he got reformatted, that is. Appearance isn't the only thing Jinrai has in common with Optimus Prime. He dies like Prime too.
Now you die.
He falls in battle against the Decepticon leader Deathsaurus.
Good grief.
And, like Optimus, his death is short-lived. He's brought back to life by 2 of Optimus's old pals, Wheeljack and Perceptor, and recreated into Victory Leo. And like Optimus Prime in Dark Awakening, he's not all there when he comes back. He's unbalanced and feral at first, but eventually becomes a big damn hero.
Until all are one.
His alt mode is a winged saber-tooth lion. Technically a triple changer, he has a 3rd flying brick mode too. He can combine with Star Saber in both vehicle and robot modes, becoming a giant booster in jet mode, or boots and a jetpack in robot mode to form Victory Saber.
We are now as one. We have joined in a way that can never be broken.
Victory Leo was available on his own or in a gigantic 2-pack with Star Saber. The villains were led by the aforementioned Deathsaurus, leader of the evil breastforce.
I am the strongest.
He transformed into a dragon.
I am in disguise. This way no one will recognize me.
He had a pair of breastplate minions, similar to Overlord the year prior, and they could be detached and transform into Tiger Breast and Eagle Breast. These pesky little buggers were triple changers, able to transform into handheld weapons for Deathsaurus as well. He's been terrorizing the universe for thousands of years before taking the mantle of the Decepticons. Not much character to him, other than he's a bastard, just like Galvatron and Megatron before him.
Tonight you sleep in hell.
He hates humans,
He cares about these helpless mortals.
except for kids. Guess he thinks they'll make a bigger mess if you wait for them to grow up before stepping on them.
How revolting!
He commanded 6 breastforce minions, another throwback to Diaclone and early Transformers. They all transformed into realistic Earth vehicles, 3 of which were jets, like the original Seekers. Leo Zach transformed into an F-14 Tomcat. He was partnered with Lion Breast, the chest plate that transformed into a lion or a handheld weapon. And another throwback to the first 2 years of Transformers, he's Deathsaurus' second in command, but like Starscream, has ambitions of taking the leadership of the Decepticons from his commander.
You waste your time!
Unlike Starscream, however, he doesn't broadcast his ambitions as pompously.
All good things to those who wait.
Skyhawk transformed into a MiG-29 and was partnered with Hawk Breast, the chest plate that transformed into a hawk or a handheld weapon. He's a massive hypocrite, always demanding perfection from others while falling very short of perfection himself.
Crude and slow, clansman, your attack was no better than that of a clumsy child.
He's boastful,
I'm the cock of the walk! Ain't nobody gonna try to mess with me!
a sore loser, and loves to lay the blame game.
It's not my fault!
A real piece of Cybertronian trash, perfect for the Decepticons. Hellbat transformed into a Dassault Rafale fighter, and he was partnered with Komori Breast, who transformed into a bat or handheld weapon.
I'm Batman.
He's the Starscream of the group, unhinged and always blatantly looking to grab power.
You will always be weaker than I.
A giant coward as well, gossiping and spreading rumors behind his teammates' backs instead of to their faces. If it wasn't for his smooth way with words, he'd be too insufferable to keep on the team.
I'm a night-stalking, crime-fighting vigilante and a heavy metal rapping machine.
Jaguar was, another Baja buggy.
I live in the Baja. I spend less than 6 months a year in the continental United States of America.
He came partnered with Rowdy Roddy Piper, and they did a pilot in 1991 called Tag Team where they played former wrestlers turned cops. No, he was actually paired with Jaguar Breast,
And we went to Cambodia together.
who transformed into a Jaguar and a weapon. He's the ideal soldier, serious, diligent, and follows orders. He would have made a great Navy SEAL.
Right, I was in the Navy SEALs.
And unlike some of his teammates, he has no ambition to lead at all. He's a grunt all the way. Kill Bison transformed into a double-barreled KMW Gepard tank, and was partnered with Bison Breast, who transformed into a bison and a weapon. He's the rowdy, war-loving brute with an itchy trigger finger of the team.
War. It's fantastic.
And Drillhorn transformed into a drill tank. He was partnered with Horn Breast, the rhino who could also transform into a hand weapon. He's the old-timer of the group who brings knowledge and experience to battles.
I'm a grumpy old man. I don't like everything the way it is now compared to the way it used to be.
Come to think of it, those are rare traits for Decepticons to have. Apart from the commanders, they're usually dumb and never learn anything. Like their Autobot counterparts, the Brainmasters, Breastforce could combine into a giant. Lio Kaiser, who was available as a gift set as well. And because he was made up of 6 robots instead of only 3, he looked a little better proportioned than Road Caesar. Unlike most Decepticon combiners, Lio Kaiser is every bit as smart as he is powerful.
The aristocratic pleasure of inflicting so much pain gives rise to so much passion, it is bordered on insane.
The Transformers will return after these messages. We now return to the Transformers.
Filling out the ranks of the Decepticons in Japan in 1989 were some repaints of American releases from that year.
That wasn't the first time you felt that sensation, was it?
Dino Force was a recolor of the Monster Pretenders, and they included rubbery dinosaur pretender shells instead of the rubbery monster shells the US versions had.
For amusement, they tossed children into pits with hungry dogs to fight for meat.
Interesting to note, all the shells were the same dinosaurs that the Dinobots alt modes were based on, except for one. Dino Force consisted of Goryu, a redeco of Ice Pick. He included a Tyrannosaurus Rex shell. Grimlock's alt mode, Kakuryu, was a redeco of Slog, and included a Triceratops shell, with a row of horns instead of staggered. Slag's alt mode, Doryu, was a redeco of Scowl, and included a Stegosaurus shell. Snarl's alt mode. Yoku-Ryu was a redeco of Wildfly and included a Pteranodon shell. Swoop's alt mode. Ray-Ryu was a redeco of Birdbrain and included a Brontosaurus shell. Sludge's alt mode. And Guy-Ryu was a redeco of Bristleback and included a Ankylosaurus shell. Whatever that is. Hey, if it wasn't a Dinobot or in Jurassic Park, I've probably never heard of it. The 6 Dinoforce members could combine into Dino King, a redeco of Monstructor.
Good day, Dino King!
A big improvement he has over Monstructor, though, is the lack of brittle gold plastic, so more of these are intact today than G1 Monster Pretenders. They were all available individually or in a Dino King gift set. He's a typical big, dumb, crude combiner giant.
You have the manners of a goat, and you smell like a dung heap.
Although he's not that big, the individual Dinoforce members aren't much bigger than Micromasters. 2 of the Mega Pretenders made it over to Japan as Decepticons that year with major redecos and retooling. A pair of Brainmaster busters, if you will.
The Brainmasters are the fattest there is, and we'll show you.
Black Shadow was a recolor of Thunderwing from the US 89 lineup. Like Thunderwing, the shell can transform into a jet and combine with the inner robot in jet mode. The shell was retooled to look more robotic than Thunderwing's shell did. He's a gangster and a mercenary. Like Double Dealer, his loyalties lie with the highest bidder. And he can't be trusted by the highest bidder because he'll turn on them the moment he gets an even higher offer.
You see, our lifestyle dictates that we're a champion. It costs a lot. We depend on a lot of money. We spend a lot of money.
His partner was Blue Bacchus, a retool and recolor of the Autobot Mega Pretender Crossblades from the US 89 releases.
I want my money! I want my money! It's my money!
Like Black Shadow, Blue Bacchus's shell was retooled to look more robotic. It could transform into a helicopter and combine with a smaller robot, which transformed into a dragster. And the final Pretenders to make their way across the Pacific were the Classic Pretenders. Like the Kmart releases, the shells were omitted. Starscream, Bumblebee, Grimlock, and Meister, which was Jazz's name in Japan, were released in a Hero Set 4-pack.
Now for the last.
And the final release in Japan in '89 was a mail-away. Thunder Arrow was the same Micromaster Jet Command Center that had been released in North America that year. In fact, it came in the same English box as well, just with some Japanese stickers on it. It cost 4 robot points and 3,000 yen. On the Victory Show, it served as Death Source's interstellar transportation. So what do you think of Japan's lineup of Transformers in 1989 compared to North America's?
Very good.
Does Japan's second wind give them the victory that year? Or are you G1 USA ride or die?
Don't be ridiculous.
If you are, that'll certainly be put to the test the following year, when it's the end of the road for G1 in North America with the infamous Action Masters.
Action Masters! The action is alive, alive! Action Masters!
Transformers that don't transform.
Now you are being ridiculous.
Share in the comments which lineup you thought was better, North America or Japan.
There can be only one.
But for now,
my time here is over.
Thanks for watching the History of Transformers 1989 edition Japan releases. Thank you Patreon Tribe for supporting my work, and thank you to the channel members as well.
When you need me, you'll only have to call my name.
For more exclusive content, just call on my name after patreon.com to become a member of the Patreon Tribe. $2 level tier and up gains access to over 200 Patreon exclusive videos.
You've done well.
Or push the join button to gain access to custom emojis for the comment section, rank badges, and advanced screenings of the 360 shorts I post on this channel. Joining either is sure to bring a pleasant sensation to your audio and visual receptors.
The sensation you're feeling is the quickening.
Indeed. Very pleasing to my optic sensors.
Remember to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, leave a thought in the comment spot, and to join the tribe, hit subscribe. Good night, good luck, God bless, and
hit the bar and watch Friends on VHS.
Namaste.
Farewell.
Yeah!
I've sort of brought Minnesota to the Baja. I call it Baja Soda.